See those two SUVs over there? That one on the left, the green one, that is the Kia Sorento Hybrid, and that one, the brown one on the right, that is the new generation Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. And even though they look like they're completely different SUVs, they're so closely related that they're pretty much the same SUV, just wearing different clothes. But there are some crucial differences that I think you need to know about. It'll change, I think, which one you buy. For example, one of these has airbags which completely cover the third row. The other doesn't. We're going to cover safety, practicality, what they like to drive, even fuel efficiency as well. Now, if you want to read the full review, go to carsguide.com.au. We'll come with me now. All right, let's talk price and features. The Santa Fe Hybrid that we have here today is the fancy one. It's the Calligraphy grade. It sits at the top of the range, and it's the 6-seat version. Yes, they normally come with 7 seats, but if you pay about $500 more, you get less seats. You get 6 seats, but they're captain's chairs, so they're quite nice. This one that we have here, this Kia Sorento Hybrid, is also the fanciest in its range. It's the GT line, and it is very nice inside as well. You can see the prices on your screen right now. Now, they share a lot of engineering hardware, but they also share a lot of standard features. Let me show you. Coming standard on both the Sorento GT line Hybrid and the Santa Fe Calligraphy Hybrid are LED headlights and LED running lights. There are roof rails, both have proximity unlocking. There's also privacy glass and these sun blinds for the rear windows. They also both have split style sunroofs. Both cabins have Napa leather upholstery. The front seats are heated and ventilated, while the second row outboard seats are heated. There's also dual zone climate control. Both cabins are equipped with curved double 12.3-inch displays for media and the driver's instruments. They also have head-up displays. There's sat-nav, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, digital radio, and both have 12-speaker Bose sound systems. Both have wireless phone charging, but only the Santa Fe can charge 2 phones wirelessly at the same time. The Santa Fe also has a sterilization compartment. It sounds weird, and it is weird. I'll show you how it works in the practicality section. Our Santa Fe Calligraphy had the 6-seat configuration. It costs $500 more than the 7-seater, and it swaps out the bench-style seat in the second row for these captain's chairs. The standard features are almost identical, but the designs couldn't be more different. The Santa Fe is the newer of these SUVs. This 5th generation model only arrived in Australia this year, and I like its boxy design, which is back in fashion. It's more blocky looking than a block. But has Hyundai just designed a 2015 Land Rover Discovery? It's quite a good looking SUV. That is until you get to the back, which I think is possibly uglier than my jumper. This current generation Sorento has been around for about 5 years, which is forever in car years. And while there have been some updates since then, I think the more rounded and smooth design is starting to date. This is still a tough looking and handsome SUV though. I do like the LED daytime running lights for both these cars though. The Sorento's gives this SUV a broader look, and the Santa Fe's H design is a theme that's mirrored in its taillights too. The Sorento's Ford Mustang style taillights also look pretty darn good. Oh, apologies for the swearing. These are large SUVs, and as you can see from the dimensions, they are very similar in size as well. The Santa Fe is just a little bit longer and taller. Let's go back inside. As you can see, their interiors are as different from each other as their exteriors. Okay, the Santa Fe is a much different feeling cabin to the Sorento's cabin. I wouldn't probably choose white upholstery, not for a family anyway. It won't stay white very long. And some of these trims are a bit sort of quirky, but then the whole design of this car is quirky, so it fits. And I actually do really like it. Even the badge on the steering wheel is quirky. It's not a Hyundai H. Instead, it's 4 dots. It's Morse code. It stands for, well, it just stands for H, but it's 4 dots. It's Morse code. All right, the cabin of the Sorento is a completely different place to the Santa Fe. This is sporty. There's dark materials. It's conservative is what I'd call it. It's like a leather dress shoe, only it's really a black sneaker. That's what this cabin is. Look, it's not I wouldn't say cutting edge, and it's not as quirky, but there are going to be lots of people who like this sporty dress shoe, that's for sure. These are SUVs, and despite what you might think, the U in SUV does not stand for unicorn. I know, I was shocked to learn that as well. The U is actually for utility, and because these sports utility vehicles are aimed at families, they need to be practical, really practical. The Sorento has a spacious cabin with wireless phone charging in that hidey hole there in front, and there's also plenty of USB ports, a big center console bin, cup holders and door pockets. In the second row, the Sorento has little buckets in the doors, bottle holders and more cup holders in the center fold-down armrest. There are USB ports in the sides of the front seats, along with power adjustment controls as well. There's good legroom in the second row, even for me at 189 centimeters tall. Plus there's good headroom too. And look, there are directional air vents down here, but no climate control for the second row. The third row is on the cramped side for me, but then most third rows are. Look, they're really for kids. My son wanted to let you know that the windows in the back here are really tiny, but there's storage wells, USB ports, fan controls and air vents. Now the Santa Fe. Up front there's an enormous storage area under the floating center console, and above that are two wireless phone chargers. There's USB ports galore, there's this large center console bin which opens like this so people in the front can get things out, and like that so people in the back can steal snacks as well. The second row has buckets and cup holders and pockets in the doors too. There's also this large drawer thing for you to lose stuff in. The Santa Fe also has USB ports in the sides of the front seats and power adjustment controls too. Legroom in the second row of the Santa Fe is excellent, and so is headroom with directional air vents here on the door pillars. But again, no climate control in the second row either. The third row feels a bit more spacious than the Sorentos, but still not where I would like to be on a road trip or any trip. Still, the windows are bigger back here than the Sorentos, and there's good storage, USB ports and directional air vents and fan controls. Along with design, practicality is where these two SUVs differ a lot, and it's here that you will probably decide which of these SUVs is the one for you. The Santa Fe and Sorento both have small cargo capacities when the third row is in place, but fold those back seats down and you've got a lot more room. I've never seen this on a car before. This is a sterilization box, and the idea is you put your phone or device or whatever you want cleaned in here, you close the door and you press this button down here, and then after 10 minutes it's clean of bacteria. So what it does, it gets blasted with a type of UV radiation, and supposedly it makes it nice and clean. I mean, my phone is probably the dirtiest part of my body. Actually, I wish I could fit in there entirely. Yes, so there you go. Oh, let me show you something else as well. The Santa Fe has larger door apertures. Now, I know that sounds silly, but it's not when you're trying to get in and out and you're tall like me, or you're a bit older, or you're not as flexible as you used to be. Now, because it's a boxy shape, check out the shape of the doorway. It's really square and it's really tall. Whereas over here, we've got the Sorento, and it has this bit which comes down here, and I have hit my head a couple of times and my child's head getting her into her car seat as well. So yes, not only is it practical with double wireless chargers and great storage, it actually is just easier to get in and out of as well. There you go. Okay, this is where things get really samey again. Both the Santa Fe Hybrid and the Sorento Hybrid have exactly the same engine and motor. It's a 1.6 litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder, and it's exactly the same motor as well. You can see the outputs on your screen now. Hyundai reckons that its powertrain produces more grunt than the Sorento Hybrid. I mean, it's just sibling rivalry at this point, isn't it? Anyway, they're all-wheel drive and they have 6-speed automatics as well. Now, in terms of hybrids, these aren't plug-in hybrids. You don't need to plug it in to charge them. They'll charge automatically as you're driving. You step on the brake and the battery charges through regenerative braking. So yes, that means no having to take it to a charger and plug it in and wait or anything like that. It's actually the best kind of hybrid, I reckon, for Australia. You just drive it and forget it's a hybrid, really. That's good. Okay, let's talk fuel efficiency. Now, Kia reckons that after a combination of open and urban roads, the Sorento Hybrid should be using 5.7 litres per 100 kilometres. Hyundai reckons that their Santa Fe Hybrid uses 5.6 litres per 100 kilometres, so it's a little bit more fuel efficient. We decided to actually test those fuel consumptions. We filled them both up. We went on a journey. We drove motorways and country roads and suburban streets, and you can see what our fuel economies were on your screen right now. The Sorento was just slightly more efficient, but both of these cars, both of these hybrids, are remarkably fuel efficient hybrids. All right, let's start in the Kia Sorento. So look, just sitting in the Kia Sorento, I can tell you that it feels like a far sportier seating position. It's a sportier cockpit, and it has a rotary dial for the gear shifter. Now, the Santa Fe has actually got a gear shifter which is stuck to the steering column. It looks like a chocolate bar, sort of like a pedal sticking into the steering column, and it's got a really awkward sort of action to it. Whereas this is a little bit more traditional, although it is a dial, but it's easy to use. I find it a lot easier to use than the Santa Fe's gear shifter. You just fling it into drive like that. We are in drive now, and because we are a hybrid, we should move away silently, just under electric motors, like that. Now when you put your foot down, the petrol engine should kick in. Let's see. There it goes. And they combine together. Sometimes, if you're going up a hill, when that petrol engine kicks in, it does so like with a bit of a jolt. It's quite abrupt, but it does that in the Santa Fe as well. Okay, so it's just a hybrid thing. Sometimes the swapping between motor and engine isn't totally seamless. There is a bit of roughness to it. Now, what is the Sorento like to drive? It's definitely the sportier of these two twins. Yeah, so not only does it feel sporty to sit in, but it feels sportier to drive. The steering's a little bit heavier. The engine still feels as responsive. And the handling, to me, feels a little bit better than the Santa Fe's as well. The visibility, though, isn't as good in here, in this Kia Sorento, as it is in the Santa Fe. So I don't think it's as easy to drive as the Santa Fe. But the engine is responsive, there's plenty of mumbo, and the ride is absolutely superb. It's so comfortable, it's so composed. There's another thing you should know, and that is that when you slightly go over the speed limit, which happens sometimes, like even by like 2 kilometers an hour, there's an alert system in the Kia, and also the Hyundai Santa Fe, which lets you know, and it bings at you until you drop below it. Well, I think it turns off after a while anyway. If you want to turn it off completely, you have to go into the menu system and you have to go through like 3 different pages before you get to it, and you've got to turn it off, and you have to do that each time you get in the car. That petrol engine is also pretty noisy, that 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine. And here we are back. All right, let's get into the Hyundai Santa Fe, and we'll see what that's like to drive. All right, let's drive the Hyundai Santa Fe Hybrid. We turn it on, there's a button to do it, and there we go. Some music which comes on to let you know the car is on, because the engine doesn't start immediately, because it doesn't need it, because the electric motors are doing the job to begin with. When you're in a car park like this, and you're just moving at low speeds, typically, just the electric motors do the work. But if you put your foot down, the petrol engine kicks in. And sometimes, if you're going up a hill, the petrol engine kicks in quite abruptly, like there's a bit of a jolt. But it does that in the Sorento as well. And it's just a hybrid thing. It's just the way they work. They're not completely seamless, okay? So don't expect perfection. but they do a pretty good job. Now, one of the things that's really spitting me out is that the Santa Fe Hybrid and the Sorento Hybrid have pretty much exactly the same engineering. The same 1.6 litre turbo petrol engine, the same electric motor, same battery, but the driving experience is completely different. So you've got the Sorento, which is sporty and sleek feeling with heavy steering, and then you've got the Santa Fe, which feels more luxurious. It's got these really large windows which offer really good visibility, and it's got steering which is really light, and together, along with the high seating position which it seems to have, it offers a sort of a more prestigious, almost luxurious driving style. It's a lot easier to drive this car as a parent anyway, where you've got screaming kids and car parks and, you know, all sorts of other distractions going on. This is a lot easier to drive than the Sorento. The ride is also really, really comfortable, but I reckon the Sorento has a better ride. This feels a little bit less composed, a little bit harder in some places, and I think that's because it does have larger wheels. So it's got larger alloy wheels, and that can wreck your ride a little bit. The Sorento's got smaller wheels, pretty chunky tires, and basically they're like cushions. So yes, the ride in this isn't quite as good as the Sorento's, but it is an easier, more luxurious feeling car to pilot. When it comes to ownership, the Sorento is covered by Kia's 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Now, servicing is recommended annually or every 10,000 kilometres, and over 5 years, the cost averages out to be about $600 per year. The Santa Fe has Hyundai's 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty. Services are also recommended annually or every 10,000 kilometres, and the servicing costs average out to be about $500 each year over 5 years. The Sorento was given the maximum 5-star ANCAP rating in 2020. The Santa Fe is still so new that its ANCAP rating hasn't come in yet, but both SUVs have a large amount of advanced safety tech. Both have AEB, which can detect pedestrians, cyclists and other cars. They have lane keeping assistance, blind spot warning and rear cross traffic alert with braking. Okay, now finally, which of these SUVs has airbags which completely cover the third row? I'll give you a hint. It's the Santa Fe. Yes, this new generation Santa Fe has airbags which completely cover third row occupants. The Sorento, it doesn't, unfortunately, and that makes a huge difference to families. All right, so who is the winner today? Look, these are very similar and very different SUVs that are both hugely fuel efficient. But my pick today goes to the Santa Fe. I just love the way it drives. It's just so easy to drive. The practicality is fantastic. And that third row airbag safety, it wins it for me every time. So, did I get it right? Don't forget, you can read the full review at carsguide.com.au.